well, it's very hard for us to do the public here without using it. Well, now they can be used with very different strategies.
I know of evangelical groups in America who have funded secular groups in France if they will promote a message on any things. And we know from a lot of the Ugandan and Kenyan stuff that the evangelical groups in America, we're talking billions of pounds that they've got access to, and they'll fund anything if it makes a local impact, secular or otherwise. And I don't know the number of support. Is it 51% or something the support for gay marriage?
Something like 56 for marriage, but then 53 are against adoptions.
Any other questions?
I have a question for Lisa. And I applaud you for all the activist work that you've been doing, and you've created a lot of change in cultural people. I just wanted to know, though, with the Daily Mail, was there any sort of legal action that was taken against them over the suicide government? Because it sounds like they really outed her, and I guess used the media towards her.
Press complaints looked at it and found there was no issues.
I can't be.
I believe that press complaints looked at that and didn't take any issue.
Because I guess to me that's the real risk here in the UK. I guess how media and social network is used. I guess for youth and other people where there's no protection there. We were talking before about physical protection, but where is that protection around social media?
I think hypothetically there is some protection, but
Yeah.
in reality,
Someone did report the Little John thing to the police,
Yeah.
and they did investigate it, but they taking no action. Do you know something about that?
I was just going to say that Dixie's family released a statement which afterwards saying that they weren't going to pursue it in that kind of way because they didn't want it to be remembered in that kind of way. So I think the only way that there was of pushing that forward was through the commission from readers. So maybe that's
Some
why
people
that
did.
should go further.
Some people did report it, and
Yeah.
then they end up having to look at it.
But if you're not an interested party, it's sometimes.
Is this about this?
Sorry.
Yeah, just quickly, we submitted motions to NUS as well to put pressure on the police, etc. But because of the statements that uses family name, we withdrew those motions. Well, I withdrew them and LGBT content before they were debated because they also privacy and they didn't want any more intervention. We just also respected that.
I mean, I know Transmedia Watch and Dossier, all sorts of things that they regularly liaise with officers and other potential criminals anyway. So there are lots of other stories the same way. Very briefly, Tessa.
Yeah, in relation to that, the way the law stands at the moment, press complaints commission groups normally cannot make a complaint, a group complaint. But under exceptional circumstances, the Press Complaints Commission can listen to a group complaint, and they did that with the Guardian article written by Birbeck. However, with the legacy inquiry over, they're looking at how they're going to restructure the press code. It looks like now the media is moving away and saying, well, we don't even want to have the ability for groups to complain as well. So it's going to actually be it's going to be a retrograde then rather than progressive. So this is something I think we can back.
I mean, you know, I submitted one on behalf of the forum about this, and when I looked at the regulations, it's so narrow. I mean, it's so narrow that the press complaints are pointless anyway. But I think a lot of journalists, including our own Margaret Pepper on our website, according to Margaret and new blog, which is very popular, is, you know, it's the repercussions of when you write these stories which lead to such terrible things. And often this is why people want to get, they've got a gut instinct to get the authorities involved, ignoring the fact that in this instance it might not be related to the family. But there are lots of other examples of of this as well, where people really you see the direct link between what's published and the sad story. And I think that if it were racial or even religious, quite often prosecutions are taken, and it would be nice to see this taken away from footing. Right?
How do you know if you've got
Speak
more,
up, please.
how do you know if you've got more cases up in the normal papers, tabloids and broadsheets about outing other trans and LGBT?
Well, yes, I mean, there's Trans Media Watch who keep an eye on these things, but I mean, do you know Trans Media Watch? Do they need volunteers to go? Because like, there's so many, it happens so much, and I know people at Trans Media Watch do a fantastic job, but I don't know how many eyes there are looking at the papers and all the web things. Do you know?
Lots of people follow them on Twitter with Facebook groups.
But they are exactly what you're referring to, and they also look at the way trans is image on television and things like that. And they've got quite a lot of influence at the moment, including with broadcasters and TV stations. Okay, we're going to wrap up soon.
One more thing, sorry.
Yeah.
Can we look at our MPs like these issues?
Always, anyone can always lobby their MP about these issues, and I recommend it. And we might. It's a good reminder actually, Ray. We might put something on our forum website, a little section on how to lobby your MP, which is always a good thing.
What's the leave you now?
Actually.
So,